Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest show here on Up the Cherries in all departments about the World Cup. Now, the country we're going to be talking about today was a country that didn't qualify for the 2018 World Cup, which was a complete and utter shock to the system. One of the countries that have had some of the most remarkable stars in the game, so the likes of Ruud Gullit, Dennis Bergkamp, Ruud van Nistelrooy, Patrick Kluivert. I'm sure we probably missed out quite a few. Of course, Nathan Ake and all that, Dan Juma as well. To actually talk about the Netherlands and their hopes, I have got with me Hugo Geldermans and Tom Janssen. Good afternoon, Hugo and Tom. How are you doing?
Pretty well, Greg. How about yourself?
Yeah, very, very well. And how about yourself, Tom? You all right?
Great. Yeah, looking forward to the World Cup, eh? Can't
Yeah,
wait.
definitely. So the country we're talking about today is, of course, the Netherlands. And do tell us that because, of course, you have gone through quite a difficult stage. But when this has happened before, when the Netherlands haven't qualified for a competition, they've always come back really strong. And I believe the last time when you qualified for a tournament after missing out, you went to the final, didn't you?
There are some. There.
Uh,
Let me do my history lessons here. I mean, the last World Cup we attended was in 2014, which was an amazing success for us. We got the
Mhm.
bronze medal, kicked out Brazil in place for the third in the home country of Brazil, which was obviously very nice. We had a great team. I think there are great similarities to the group that we have now. Again, I wouldn't say we are favorites, not in the slightest. We're also in a tough side of the tournament. So, for example, if I'm not mistaken, if we end up first and Argentina as well, we get Argentina in the quarterfinal. So that
yeah.
could be a stretch. Maybe Tom has something to add on because with his Messi shirt in the background, probably has some expectations as a title favorite as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult game for me if it's going to be the Netherlands against Argentina. But Hugo, I remember in 2010 when we reached the final, the squad was also, we had a good squad, but it was not phenomenal, right?
No,
So
no. And again,
there
it
is
was a
also
little
some
bit this.
comparison.
Yeah, 100%. And it was the same, also a little bit the same as I mentioned earlier in 2014, but with the sake of argument that in both groups we had Arjen Robben. In 2014, he just decided a Champions League final with Bayern Munich against Dortmund. So he was in the form of his life. In 2010, we had Wesley Sneijder, who at that point in his career potentially was one of the best midfielder, if not the best midfielder in the world, with winning the Champions League with Inter with Mourinho. Um, I would say the groups or the teams is a bit the same, like from a talent perspective, but we don't have a superstar or an informed superstar at that moment.
No.
Obviously, we have the likes of Frankie de Jong, Virgil van Dijk, and Memphis Depay, who is not really performing at Barca over the last year, but he's very important for our squad. He's like basically the leader within the team, scores a lot of goals for us. But I would not say that everyone at this very moment is in a superb form. Hence why I'm a bit reluctant, but it's also typical
agree.
Dutch.
Yeah.
Do tell us a little bit more about your qualifying campaign for this tournament. And also, Nathan Ake is a former Bournemouth player. How inspirational has he been?
Yeah, I've got some great news, I guess, for you because he will be in the first 11. Van
He will be
Gaal played
playing,
him.
he will be starting. Yeah.
Yeah, he will be starting for sure. He played, I believe, most of the games during qualifying. Also in the 3-5-2 or 5-3-2, whatever you like to call it, in the system Van Gaal is playing. He is quite keen to have a left-playing defender on his side. So I'm quite positive that he will be starting over the likes of, for example, Steven de Vrij of Inter, of Matthijs de Ligt of Bayern.
Yeah.
So I would say happy days for a Bournemouth fan.
Yeah, definitely.
Just too bad we missed out of Juma Groeneveld. That he did not make the squad, who obviously played for you guys as well.
Well, what do you think the reasoning was behind that? Because he was on fire last season, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was
on fire,
amazing last season. I believe he was one of the best awarded players in the Premier Division after his transfer to Villarreal. He did really well against Manchester United, also in the Europa League. He got injured later on in the year. He is fit now, so I was actually quite surprised he didn't make the squad. The only argument I can think of is that Van Gaal quite sticks to the players he knows and have proven to him during qualifying. So not a lot of strange exceptions besides the goalkeepers, but maybe we'll get to that a little later. Not a lot of surprises within this group. So yeah, again, I'm amazed as well. I would love to have him there because I think he can make a difference. He's super fast and he brings some star quality to the team. But I think Van Gaal chooses for the likes of Bergwijn, former Spurs player, currently at Ajax, who did perform during qualifying. So I think that's the argument.
Yeah, and Van Gaal is also looking at the form of the day. And Danjuma, he has been injured. So Van Gaal wants players who can perform now, and because he doesn't have weeks to train to make them better, which I can understand because, of course, last weekend they played the last match and now the World Cup starts, Sunday. So there's no time to prepare.
No.
And that's what I was a little bit surprised about because, of course, England haven't got any friendly matches before the game with Iran. Have the Netherlands found a similar sort of situation?
Exactly the same. I was
no
a bit
right?
No friendlies. No, I was surprised as well. It would have made sense to at least give some of the guys who potentially have not played often over the last few months to give them some minutes, or maybe some of the younger guys, or maybe play around with the keepers. But I guess the argument is there that it's only a risk of getting more injured players with such a short amount of time before the tournament. But it's like, it's in everything, it's a completely different tournament for everyone.
Of course, with the Dutch players throughout history, there's some big names. Of course, you had Patrick Kluivert, Ruud Gullit, Van Persie, of course. Is it a real surprise that you haven't won a big tournament as yet, apart from the Euros some time ago?
Yeah, like you said, we won the Euros. If you look at the amount of people living in the Netherlands, I would say three World Cup finals is already quite an achievement. Mm-hmm. On the flip side, I believe Uruguay won them twice, but it was like a different world in the 50s or something. So are we surprised? Yes. But from the time that I'm watching football, from the beginning 90s till now, I wouldn't expect them to do so. I was amazed when they got to the final in 2010. I was also quite amazed with the third place in 2014. To be fair, I would be quite okay with a quarterfinal, semi-final, to be fair.
Yeah, but if you look at the squad of 98 or 2002, when we even didn't qualify, the type of players we had, the quality of players we had, all players playing in the top level in top competitions. Like, Craig, you're missing one important player, Ruud van Nistelrooy. Amazing player at Manchester United. I believe that was his best period of his career at Manchester United.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so, in that final, I remember watching that against Spain, and, it was close fought match, really, for large times. But do you think that the Dutch side could have done a little bit more during that match, or do you think that Spain were just too good? They're in their golden years, weren't they, really?
Yeah, it was a bit of a national trauma, you could say, with Arjen Robben going at Casillas. I believe there are many jokes regarding the big toe of Iker Casillas. But I also remember when in the end Spain won it. I was like, it also feels so far away. We got really close, but on the other side, it was the most that we could do.
What would constitute a successful World Cup this time round? Would it be getting to the quarters, getting to the semis? Do you think you could go a little bit further?
Yeah, I think the group stages, we're not in the best group for sure. We have Senegal, but they're missing out on Mane, which is the first game. We're with Qatar. Nobody knows anything about Qatar yet. So, but let's be honest, we do not expect a lot. So we should easily qualify with a minimum of first place, I would say. But like I mentioned earlier, so we're on a bit on the tough side of the tournament with the likes of, if I'm not mistaken, England, Brazil, and Argentina also in that side of the tournament. So potentially a quarterfinal to Argentina, could be a very, very, very tricky one. On the other side, we got to them earlier in '98 in a quarterfinal, which was potentially one of the best the matches the Netherlands ever played on the tournament. With a great goal,
Dennis
with great
Bergkamp,
goals.
with
Dennis Bergkamp. So I think quarterfinal, semi-final. Quarterfinal is in reach for sure. Semi-final would be a success.
Of course, we forgot about mentioning Bergkamp when we were saying about the quality players that have come through. But yeah, hopefully Nathan Ake and Dan Juma can become two of those as well.
Maybe a question for you as well, Greg. As you're based out of England, what is the feeling like from England towards the Netherlands for this tournament? Obviously, you want to have our info, but I'm just curious to see how England, who is always quite fan of the Dutch football, loads of Dutch footballers went to England to play in the Premier League. What is the view currently on our team or our performances over the last few years?
I think it was a surprise for us that you didn't qualify for the 2018 World Cup or the Euros, because I think personally, the Dutch team have always got a lot of flair, got quality players across the pitch. It feels like England and the Netherlands are on probably a similar sort of platform as it stands at the moment. But I think if you take the two squads and compare them side by side, I do think the Netherlands might have a little bit more than we do. But do the Netherlands play as a team? That's a question really back, because I think we've seen that in the past where, you've got all these outstanding players, but they don't play together well.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. And I think that's where Van Gaal and his system comes in. And again, very similar to 2014, where we did not have maybe the best players in the world, or at least of that tournament. But this is my hope that he will, again, build a squad, a team of 15, 18 players who will play mostly during the tournament and who can live up to his system and tactics. And I would say that's my wish. And if we get there, we could surprise maybe in Argentina in the quarterfinal. We could get to a semi-final, but that depends really on it, because we have a few great players again, like so Virgil van Dijk, Frankie De Jong, Memphis Depay, few others obviously. But it needs to be a team in order to get very far in the tournament.
Yeah, he's focusing on that, Van Gaal. He was mentioning it many times in the press conferences. I'm not selecting the best players, but the best team players.
And I think that's very, very similar to England as well, because I think what Southgate's trying to do is he's trying to get a team that, gels together. Whereas in the past, there is some tournaments, 2014 is a very, very good example, where it just seemed a little bit of a mismatch. And of course, we went out in the group stage, in a group that, maybe we should have done better in. I know Costa Rica did well that year, but really we should have still come out of that. And throughout the years, we've had that. I think France have had that at times as well.
100%, yeah.
2002, but of course they've won 2 World Cups as well recently. So, 1998 and of course the last one. But
France is quite notorious for having a great tournament, and I potentially see them flop this time with so many egos. They won already so many titles. I don't see them living up to the hype. And I know this topic is regarding the Netherlands, but I'm also maybe worrying a little bit about England, who come off a great tournament, obviously with an awful end result. I don't want to bring up that national trauma on your side, obviously, but I could feel that. I believe they have a similar squad. They left out that great defender who was playing in Italy. I'm blanking on his name. Who was having a great year. I believe he has a great year in Italy, and still selecting the likes of Harry Maguire, where I'm feeling like, I don't see a lot of fresh blood within the team. So I have to see how you guys would perform, to be fair.
to be honest, that's been echoed by a lot of people in the country as well. Harry Maguire, why is he going? There's a lot of concerns there.
Yeah.
But it does seem like Southgate does have his favourites, and hopefully we can do something. But it's questionable. It is questionable.
Quite an easy group as well with England.
Yeah, I think Wales, although they've got 2 Bournemouth players in there, of course they've still got Gareth Bale. I don't think Wales are going to be that strong. Iran is a little bit of a free hit, I think, because I think we should be able to beat them on paper, but of course, with countries you don't know too much about, they could surprise you. We saw that with Senegal in 2002. And the US, I think, is going to be quite difficult. We haven't got particularly a great record against the US, which is surprising, but we should be able to get out of the group.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So do you think potentially, I don't know if we can meet in the final. I'm not sure if we can meet.
I'm not sure.
But, do you think that our paths could cross? So England, Netherlands, it should be quite an exciting game. And
it would be an amazing game. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
We don't play against each other quite often. Well, besides friendlies. We haven't really met. I believe there was a notorious few games in a group, like in the qualifying stage. I believe for the '94 in the United States, that tournament. We had a playoff against each other, if I'm not mistaken, but it's obviously a long time ago. No, we have not really played against each other in the tournament. So to be fair, I would say that would be a great game, and either one could end up top.
Well, that was the tournament we missed out.
Give us a good chance as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That was the tournament we missed out on, was USA 1994. So yeah, I do remember that very, very. I was very small at the time, but yeah, it was. It was just before Euro '96 as well. So
yeah,
come out of that flying. And we had that game in Euro '96.
Yeah.
I
didn't want to touch on that one.
Yeah. Well, I guess should we call it a bit of revenge?
Yes.
Knocking us out of the World Cup. No, but thank you so much for coming on, guys. It's been a real pleasure, and all the very, very best for the World Cup. And
many thanks.
Yeah, hopefully. You never know. We might play each other at some point. Hopefully in the final, if it can happen.
Sounds good to me, Greg.
That would be great.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
And thank you, everybody, for checking out the video. Please do hit the like, the subscribe, the bell button, and everything below. Please do also, if your country has not been featured, do get in contact with me on the email address below. We'll be more than happy to have you on. But until the next one, thank you for joining us, and it's been a pleasure.